Live. We are live.
Excellent.
So live. My God, we're
very
live.
live. The best kind of live.
You know what? We didn't discuss who's doing what.
Nope. Fine.
That's great. I love how much prep. All right. Well, I'm not gonna say it, but there's a lot that we have to read that goes into this, and I don't want to give people the wrong idea, but
yeah, we look over a lot of material and then we just forget to do like, hey, which one are you talking about?
which one are you talking about? I don't know. That's it. Thanks, Harris Heller, for the music again. You're
Yep,
the best.
as always, Harris, you're the man.
You're the best.
You're the man.
Can't ask for better. Let's get today. I really want to see if OBS actually doesn't totally overstream and understream the stream all by itself. That'd be awesome.
Oh yeah, I do have it up right now, so we'll see.
We'll see. All right, I'm gonna call 10 seconds.
10 to goodness.
5, 4, 3, 2, and
Juan.
hello. Welcome. It is March 25th, 2021.
Yes.
With you again is Corey and myself, not your average show.
Good to see you.
So not average, we don't even know what we're going to talk about. Just kidding. We do know what we're talking about.
Yeah, we do. We do.
What are we going to talk about?
Well, we have, as a quick, skim, we have some stuff from a recap on NFTs,
Yeah.
right? Non-fungible tokens. We'll talk about that again briefly. We're going to talk a little bit about some space travel stuff, meaning plans on Mars, and then some rocket news at the end. And then back to Earth for some bicycle stuff and electric planes.
Wow. Look at that. You know what? I surprised Corey because I didn't tell him that he was doing the opening intro today. And guess what? Well done, sir. I expected nothing else.
I did something.
But nothing else but the grace and the expertise that I expected from your behalf. Thank you very much for that.
Wow. Heavy praise here on the Thursday.
It's because it's Thursday. Yeah. So anyhow, yeah, we got a lot to talk about today, and the more interesting that things get, especially on the NFTs side, I can only say this much. There's a moment when you sit back and you think to yourself, can this get any crazier? And generally, just about that moment when you ask yourself that question, it gets a little crazy.
Yeah, usually. And
so now Corey and I are in the conversation. We're working on the fact that we said we were going to get you a photo, right? This photo that we are going to use to NFT. And we're still in the process of getting this to work. So I'll bring up the photo again because I just want people to understand this is not a scam. We are literally trying to get this piece of artwork right here. We're going to see if we can get money for it because then it could fund the show, number one.
Yeah,
and
why not?
Number two, it's this, can we call it artificial at this point, inflationary experiment that they're going through with this stuff or what? I mean, how else could you explain what we're about to talk about? Because it's
almost like self-generated demand, I mean.
And isn't that like almost, I would say that's almost like insider trading, right? You artificially create your own demand for something that no one necessarily needs.
I think the best analog really for me is just art, right? We said it last show, art, coining the phrase art. The beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and
Sure.
I apply that to art, and it's the same. Like,
well, go ahead.
I guess
take it away.
I guess that's how this goes. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I'll talk about it.
On the robot self-portrait.
Yeah, we got two things for you, two NFT updates, and again, they're non-fungible tokens. If it's the first time joining us for this kind of topic, and they are kind of in a nutshell. There, if you guys know about cryptocurrency and how the blockchain works, in the sense that the blockchain is kind of it functions in such a way that it's like a bank ledger, in the sense that if you bought a Bitcoin or a piece of a Bitcoin at a bank, the bank would have a record of that, and no one else could own that piece of the Bitcoin, right? So take that same kind of idea that there's a digital ledger somewhere that says you own something. Take that concept and say, hey, apply it to art that's digital art, not physical art,
right?
But anything some artist or really anybody, a tweet, a music song, a picture, a painting online, any of that, apply that to this, and we get NFTs such as the one Mike has on the channel. So this one here is Sophia the Robot. She's an artificial intelligence robot that's
how much more
done a bunch of stuff
artificial
in the
can
past,
you get?
but now she's been doing paintings,
right?
And they've sold her paintings. And she did, one of them was a self-portrait And the self-portrait went for just under $700,000 for a digital self-portrait of a robot, the robot made.
Right. Yeah. Okay, look, I get it. It's a first step for a robot in an AI-esque world to have proven value for being creative. Right? I get that. I get that.
Yeah.
Then just pay money for it. How's that? It's just a strange one to me. It's just really, really strange.
Yeah.
Okay.
The next one is even more strange.
Okay, you want me to take it or you want to take it?
Sure, have at it.
So on top of what Corey just put out there, okay, the first digital NFT house. Okay, now this is just a digital house. This is not an actual physical freestanding structure. It's a digital house. It's basically something that you could have rendered in, say, CAD. Okay, nothing more, nothing less, and it just sold. What was this thing for? It was
it sold for 288 ether.
288
type of
ether.
Ethereum, yeah.
Okay,
so $514,000 equivalent.
Right, that is kind of ridiculous. As I'm trying to switch to the proper thing that's going to show the video, because currently we're watching an advertisement that came up at the top of this thing, but I want to show you what it actually looks like inside this house, because it's just digital. Okay,
it's just
there's no physicality to this thing whatsoever. Let's see, nope, we're gonna get another Johnson & Johnson. I love this.
EBY. Maybe I should sell your animal house. If you can box it up and then make sure that no one else owns it but the person you sell it to, have at it.
Sure.
I mean, have at it. That's.
Oh wait, here no. This is a building walking. What the heck?
So while Mike's getting the video, it's from artist Krista Kim, and the inspiration was a house that was inspired by being locked down during the pandemic. There you go.
Yeah, forget it. We're not going to be able to pull it up because this site is being ridiculous.
Okay, well,
too many ads.
You can show there's some pictures in the actual article if you want to just scroll through them. That might work too.
There you go.
But yeah, as Mike's saying, it's just digital house.
Digital house.
It goes on. It's on something uploaded to something called the metaverse. The metaverse is a virtual expansion of our world that Kim says to CNN, where plots of virtual land are purchased and traded, and digital homes and businesses are built. So
there it is.
Matrix.
This is the actual house.
So there you go. Somebody paid $500,000 for, that. And again, if you're watching this and you're down with this stuff, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you guys aren't right to do this. I'm just saying I don't get it. I mean, and I mean in chat, guys, if you got opinions on digital currency, not digital currency, but I mean digital assets.
It's just digital. It's like digital art.
Auctioned. Have at it. Let us know in the comments what you guys think, because I don't know.
So here's what I don't get, right? Right now it hasn't really shown me anything it's cool. It's a nice render. It's very glassy, I guess is what you could call it.
To me, I don't want to sound degrading. It just feels like early 2000s render.
I don't know if it's okay. So here's the thing, okay? Because this is just this glassy artwork, which might as well have been from the 1980s, right? Is that what we need to assess value with? Is that someplace where we need to be in this whole structure of $500,000? I'd rather have a house.
I guess that's the thing to maybe put in perspective for people that may be watching this. Remember, $500,000 is a lot of money, but $500,000 gets you a real house,
yes,
like a nice
real house,
depending where you're at, right? Depending where the land and all the values, I get it, right? But $500,000 real house.
Yeah. Not a fake house, not a playhouse, not a digital representation of a house, and all the neat features in the world. Look, again, I don't mean to be rude because I do have a degree in 3D computer animation. I actually have done plenty of CAD work in the back, and while these renderings are decent, right? They're not earth-shattering. They are not beyond the realm of conceptual art, which anyone could just kind of make, and they're not even advanced polygon structures that I would say would qualify or quantify for something that would be without a doubt like extraordinary. They're rainbow renders with some textures and kind of see-through walls.
Yeah, I mean, again, as Mike said, don't get us wrong, don't misinterpret what we're saying. to the artist, Chris to Kim, we're not saying we hate your art. We just say I'm just kind of confused. Not confused.
Value.
I guess it's just stunned that that it's not done so well. Again, I'm not trying to degrade the art itself.
No.
It's just
it's okay.
I guess it's art, right? That's
okay.
That's where I have to just remind myself.
Here, let me put it in better perspective, right? Because maybe
it's a digital piece of
yeah,
art.
maybe that's the difference, right? Because we harped on this the other day too, right? And it's not to be Corey's 100% right. It's not to be demeaning. It's not to take away from the experience. It's to look at with all the other things that are going on in the world, and if you want to turn around and assess value to something, make it unique. The robotic one I can actually get because here's an AI robot, strange in itself, painting its first self-portrait, strange in and of itself. But to me, I would say, hey, let's bring that to auction, and you know what? Let's make the proceeds go to like robotic development, or let's make the proceeds go to let's see if people need prosthetic limbs or something. Let that money go to the research for more prosthetic limbs, okay, or automated limbs, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. If we're gonna assess value, but it seems almost self-serving, and maybe that's the bigger issue that I have with it. And sorry if that makes me a poor human being for not understanding, but that's the way I kind of see it.
Yeah.
That's it. Sorry. Probably just got myself in hot water there, but I really don't know what else to say about it because I seriously think, like, I'm talking to Corey before the show. I'm like, can we NFT ourselves? Can we take an image?
Well, we're not digital goods.
Right. We're not, but we could just take a picture of ourselves, enhance it, and then sell it out there. But then do we lose our identities?
No. But I mean, I think but answering your main question though, yeah, of course. Because we take a picture, then we like put some filters over it or something that makes it unique, and bam. Why not?
Or or are we just over analyzing this to pieces and everybody else should just be having a good laugh with it? Let us know in the comments below. Because it's bizarre. Just really bizarre.
It's just we're not gonna continue harping on NFTs unless some more crazy stuff happens. But
yeah,
it's just something I've been watching, and Mike has too. We're just like,
it's weird.
I just shrug, and I'm like, okay. I mean,
all right. So hey, we'll stick it there with that one. Hey, I got another one for you. How's that? You ready? You know what 500,000 could buy you, Corey, at a discount? It could buy you a ticket to Mars. Okay.
Well, I think isn't it less than
it
that?
Is actually less. For $200,000 less, you can get a one-way ticket to Mars or bust. And this one comes to you via Popular Mechanics. See the astonishing plans for the very first city on Mars, and architects and scientists have collaborated on a new Mars city concept. They could have sold that for $500,000. Anyhow, an architect from the firm has released ambitious plans for a sustainable city on Mars that could hold up to 250,000 people in a mostly underground cave system. Interestingly enough, to get there, they're only selling one-way tickets.
True, yeah.
So it is interesting to see that we are seeing this continued conversation in the development of Mars, as obviously Elon Musk has his eyes set on getting people to Mars within the next, I think it's how many years?
I think 20. When did they say they first start building it? 2030, 2035
I thought it was
or
2035, something like that, right?
Yeah, I think yeah.
So he's actually, I mean, it looks pretty nice. I don't know if I would want to go on a one-way ticket to Mars, because to me it just kind of seems like piracy that could just kind of leave you there because there's no guarantee you're getting back. But as far as the overall,
you're lit Wild West there. I mean,
a little bit.
Even if things go super crazy there, well, there's just, I mean, you're what's it say? You can only go there every every 4 years.
Yes.
Where is it?
Every 4 years. So it's interesting. So, I guess it also kind of, what was that movie? The one with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Total Recall. That's what kind of comes to my mind. I look at these pictures and I'm like, ooh, so you go up there for 300,000. This is where you're going to live. You're not coming home. But, okay, that's fair enough. This is your 250,000 people living on the planet Mars. What do you think that says for the future of Mars exploration? Would it be something that you would be interested in for going to Mars for 300,000?
I don't know, man. I mean, part of me thinks it could be quite interesting to just, I don't know what I'd be doing there. For one thing, just as it says in this article too, it's part of the quote, a binding work contract to devote between 60 to 80% of your work time to tasks assigned by the city. So again, obviously everyone's working for the city because of course you are. And 60 to 80% of whatever work you do is whatever the city says they need you to do. And then of course, I guess other things might be cook. You know, people got to cook, and there's other things that got to happen. So,
Sounds more like
I mean, I would be interested to, it's one of those where I think I would want to see what the first, let's call them not generation, but the first like wave, right? The first people go, and then they've been there for like, let's say 10 years, and then what do they think after that? What do they think, you know, how's it going after that? Then maybe I'd be like, hey, let's check it out maybe. Obviously, this is something we could just talk about because, you know, it's 2021, and if this isn't even built till 30 years from now, we're gonna be too old anyway.
Well,
So,
that's fair enough. Okay, well, you know,
right.
old
But,
in body, not in spirit. But the difference would that I would say is, look, it does sound like Total Recall because it sounds like you're going up there for $300,000 to be a slight indentured servant to some sort of
Oh, yeah.
socialized society, which understandably for the survival of a colony out on Mars, you'd need to do that. You need to commit yourself to the fact that that's what you're going to do to be on Mars.
Yep, everybody's on the same team.
All right,
Gotta be.
Gotta be. Bigger question is, how bad does your life on Earth need to be that you have to spend $300,000 to go up and do that to yourself on Mars? Because I kind of like being out in fresh air. I kind of like not having to put on spacesuits to enjoy a big, you know, like a little dip in the pool. I like sunsets that don't roast me. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't,
Yeah.
or call me old fashioned, but that's a lot to be putting out there. And expecting people to put up a lot for that type of experience, right? Now, for the sake of,
and I got a lot of things left on Earth that I want to do, so
right?
probably not.
Now, look, not knocking the fact that there's scientists out there that do need to go to Mars, and we do need to explore opportunities of understanding what's going out in space, so we can better understand the very planet that we sit on. True. Okay. I think I'd probably go for exploring the bottom of the ocean because that needs to be explored too. Maybe. Other areas at that $300,000 would probably pique my interest. The beach is nice too, indeed. EVY, it is actually very, very nice. Would you go for 300,000? Would anybody
To the beach?
Would no, not to the beach, to Mars. Like, how about anybody in chat? Would you guys go for 300,000? Because
yeah,
it'd be interesting to know what the price would be to have to go up and do that. What people would put a value on that for.
I don't know. Yeah, I think that's a great thing, though. You know, anybody watching this video or this clip, you know, again, put down in the comments below. What do you guys think about the whole prospect of going to Mars and staying there? But also, what would the price be if you said, yeah, sure, you know, maybe I'll try it and I'll come back after 4 to 8 years. You know, do a you know, let's call it a tour there because it's that far away, and you know, but what's the price? I mean, what do you?
I'd have a different way of
Because this
describing
literally
it.
says that your $300,000 ticket. That's implying you pay to go,
Yes.
and then work, I guess, and don't get paid because you're receiving the benefits of, you know, staying alive, food and life support, and then you come home, and then what have you done? Like, oh, I just got back from Mars. Okay, cool.
When you say staying alive, I just have an image of John Travolta on the surface of Mars dancing, kind of like Saturday Night Fever, kind of doing his thing, just staying alive. Because the way you casually describe it at this point, it almost sounds sad. It just kind of sounds sad. I don't know if I'd want to do it. You know, if somebody said go up there for 2 years, maybe, right?
Yeah. When you said back to me staying alive, you know what I thought was the Arnold Schwarzenegger scene on Total Recall where his eyes are.
Oh yeah, well of course.
And I'm like, well, probably
the
not.
accommodations on Mars could be awesome. Okay, look, if they get it to the point where you could have 250,000 that live comfortably on the surface of Mars, and you have all the creature comforts of home, fantastic. I would again. How bad does it have to be on Earth before you make that commitment, or what you think you're going to preserve? Because if you want to preserve the humanity of all mankind, and you want to go out there and step on Mars, by all means, do it in the name of science. I love the idea; it's fantastic. Calling it a debate.
I think we'd leave it there, and just see what YouTube thinks. What do you guys think, man?
Let us know what you think, and remember what you can always do: like, subscribe, follow, and if we got it wrong or we're being kind of jerks about it, which we kind of are, let us know, because this one.
Hey, I'm excited, but nope.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe this show should be the sarcastic show, because today
we're bringing news, but our spin.
Yeah, this little spin. The ones that we chose today they're a little bit more out there, so to speak. So it's just easy pickings to just be a little bit more flippant. But normally we're not. You guys know that we're having a little tongue in cheek today. With that said, hey, you know what you couldn't do on Corey?
What's
You know
that?
what you can't do on Mars?
You probably don't have YouTube, and you probably can't like, subscribe, and share this channel.
Or you also cannot go for a expensive bike ride.
It's probably true
Yeah,
as well.
if you want to go ahead and talk about Porsche unveils their new
Sure,
bikes.
sure. So moving on to the next thing, we or wanted to pick up something again, still in the quote wheelhouse of electric vehicles, but something that's Porsche related, and it's a Porsche. Just a few days ago, earlier the month, Porsche unveils a pair of ridiculously expensive bikes. One a road bike, one a bit more of an off-road bike, but they're electric bikes from Porsche. And basically they're about 48 pounds, so not super light, but again, they got a battery and all that on them and motors and stuff. Not super heavy as far as electric bikes go either. However, they're Porsche and they're designed by Porsche, and they don't appear to be rebranded electric
No,
bikes
not
like
at
some
all.
other companies do.
Mm-mm.
They're their own bikes, and but however, they're about $10,000.
10,700 to be exact.
So it's one of these where there's going to be people that do want them, and they're going to sell a few, I'm sure. But they say there's the road bike, and then they have the let's see, let me get the names for you guys while I'm talking about it here. Got the two models of the Sport and the Cross. The Sport is a road bike intended for everyday use, full suspension, carbon frame, integrated front and rear lights, Shimano rear drive, so it's a pretty good motor actually.
Not bad.
And let's see, yeah, 48 pounds. That one's $10,000, which again, it's pretty up there.
Expensive.
The Cross is their other version. That's from Porsche. It's from the off-road adventure type of bike. It also sports a Shimano drive, carbon frame, full suspension, but it also has some Magura MT trail hydraulic disc brakes that they say are quote heat resistant. So you're getting some good Porsche brakes.
Nice.
And that's also about the same weight, but it's about it's a little bit less actually, $8,550. So actually, the off-road bike is cheaper. One thing to note is the top speed is still 25 kilometers per hour. That is probably due to the maximum top speed of the European Union for these type of vehicles. So that's probably about as fast as they're going to go, at least over there. I doubt they'll change in design just to bring them over here.
Right.
And I mean, that's kind of the main thing about it. Like I said, I think on my end, I think they're certainly going to sell some of these, but that's a pretty steep price.
That is.
And I'll get your take on this, but actually, before we move to the next article, but the next article does bring up maybe, at least on the American side, maybe a tax credit for electronic bikes. But we'll get to that in a minute. So what do you think about these Porsche ones?
Well, look, it's obvious to me that it looks like that, there's also a link in here in this article from The Verge, which also goes on to discuss a little bit about the Harley Davidson is also having their new Serial 1 e-bikes that have come out. And Harley Davidson has cracked that price range between $3,399 to $4,999, right? And okay, I get that. I understand. This is the wave of the future. People want technology applied to a lot of things to help transition from one point to the next, and it's a good step, right? It's a good step,
right?
Obviously, Porsche is always going to go for that upper echelon market. They want to cater. It's a Porsche, that's what it is. It's $10,000. It does probably the same thing that most other functional bikes will do, and it'll do it at 6 times the price, but you'll get there with Porsche styling and design. Great, but when it comes to functionality, is this what it's going to cater to right now? Because it seems to me like the e-bike market is going to do exactly the same thing like most the electric car market has done, which is Tesla appealed to mostly the upper echelon of the community, and then it's suddenly filtering down where everybody's going to have their version of it. And where does this leave people like Schwinn, Huffy, longtime bike makers, Shimano? Really shocked because I wasn't even aware of the fact that they already developed or had their technology in place for electric motors on bikes. So that's really cool to see. However, as it progresses forward, I guess the adaptability in what markets is this thing going to really hit home? Because when I think of other places that have large biking markets, I don't know if they have the capital infrastructure for everyone to afford this style of bike. Is that something that you can afford, right?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, places that people would use these bikes on a daily basis, let's say, right, for maybe to get to and from work. You're talking maybe cities where they just don't want to have a bike. It's interesting they mentioned that the speed limit for the UK, because I can see some places in the UK have a bit more, maybe it might fit the bill a bit better over there, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
And some of those villages where people are just, they may not even need a car to get across the village or the town. It's a bit smaller,
Right.
or it's a bit safer for bicyclists than it is in some of the American cities. So
a $3,000 credit though would if you got a refundable tax credit, which is what they're talking about, 30%, right? So if we're in that argument of what's the Porsche doing,
want to
right?
go? Yeah, we go the next article.
Yeah,
cool.
I'm just bringing it up as a conversational piece inside the same thing. If these e-bikes become that expensive, and especially look, if you get an electric car, you get a tax credit right now. I think it's refundable as $7,500. I want to say.
Yeah, they extended it through the year, so I think it's still that.
I think it's that amount, right? So look, and there's lots of different players at lots of different price points. That this 30% would have to make sense, because of 30% of, say, like a Harley Davidson bike at $5,000 versus the Porsche, great. However, it almost makes me want to go out and start an e-bike company, because if this is going to be the next trend, right? Well, look, I mean, in reality, there's lots of marketplaces here in America that could do well with bikes. I know that New York City has famously been trying to put bikes in as an established form of transportation. I know if you're on the West Coast and you're out on the beach, people like to bike around. I know here in Florida, for certain times of the year, people love to bike around. So I like the idea. I'd like to see the prices more, I guess, for me, $1,800, because when I get above $3,000-$4,000, I'm clearly in motorcycle territory.
Yeah, I was thinking the same actually for myself. As you're just talking, I'm thinking, okay, what would it maybe cost for me and the wife to decide we'll get some e-bikes if we decided we want an e-bike for some reason? And I'm thinking, yeah, 3,000. I mean, it's still high for sure, but I can't see myself spending any more than that for any real reason. If I'm gonna need something that's more than that, as you said, cost wise, then I'm probably going further distance, right?
Sure.
Then I just use my car.
Yeah.
Or if I'm not me and I'm somebody else who's in the same situation, they just get a motorcycle like yourself, right? Just okay, we'll all just get a motorcycle instead. I mean,
to me, I know exactly.
I mean, because you can't. There are electric motorcycles, which we didn't plan to talk about, but
the live wire,
that's a thing too, and those are more expensive. But I know you can actually, Mike, you and I talked about that a while ago, right? You can get an electric motorcycle for under 20,
yes,
right?
You
like
can.
An actual
you can get a decent
motorcycle to use,
There's
to go anywhere.
There's decent ones out there. So look, the other thing is, what immediately comes to mind for me, if I was going to go in the same market, I would get a Royal Enfield motorcycle, and I would get a Continental GT with a bullet fairing, with ABS for like $5,600, and be like, look, I'm burning less gas. Sure, it's not it's not electric, but that would be what I would choose to ride at that particular point, at the $10,000 price point, because it's more practical, especially for areas where you do have to travel longer distances. That's just my 2 cents. But again, if you're in the marketplace that you can do this, now look, where would a Porsche bike probably do really, really well? The Netherlands? Probably, right?
I mean, certainly somewhere in Europe, I would say.
Right. And now on a high-end bike, now you can get a Specialized, right, or a carbon-bodied, carbon-framed bike. What, some of those go with dual suspension, front and rear. What, some of those go for $7,000, $8,000, $12,000, even of themselves.
Yeah, road-going race bikes, you can spend a bunch of money. Obviously, they're totally U-powered.
Sure.
They're human-powered. But again, I think that's part of the interesting part about this conversation, and in particular with bikes, is if you got somebody who's really looking to spend like near 10 grand for a bike, they're probably somebody who's an avid biker, and they don't want an electric bike. I mean, I'm just guessing here because I'm not one of those people, but if you got somebody who races bikes, semi-professional or whatever, why would they want an electric bike? They want to ride themselves.
That's true.
So, I mean, I'm totally guessing. Anybody in chat, by the way, speak up if you're an avid bicycle rider, in a group, or do races on the side or whatever. What would you consider even wanting an electric bike?
Don't know, because about EBY has a great comment. You don't need a license to ride a bike yet, right? You don't.
That's true.
If it's powered, right now here in this country,
it's a motor vehicle.
Is it a motor vehicle? Right now it's a motor vehicle, because it doesn't operate surely under just the power of you pedaling. And I'm sure that's where that speed limit in Europe, comes in of to play about the 25K,
I can imagine.
which that makes more
Yeah.
sense. Again, anytime you turn around and get yourself involved with something that's going to be applied to a public place or a public system, and you make it more complex, you can expect there to be some sort of level of regulation. And
actually, I'm sorry.
no,
Go ahead.
No, go.
I was going to say, as you're talking about this, I'm reminding myself of an article I saw, and I don't have it with me. I apologize, but I know I just read there's a few places that have mentioned where you could, like on a trail, a bike trail, they've posted signs where they talked about obviously no motor vehicles, but they've updated the signs that said no electronic vehicles either. So there you go. I mean, there's some places where these bikes they're not allowed. They're not considering those a bicycle. They're considering those a motor vehicle. So that might be local ordinance.
I'll tell you what I would get instead of this. It just dawned on me. I'll tell you what I would get. A Segway. A Segway comes in a price point of about $3,500. It's going to have a limited range, but I don't need to go 50 miles in a Segway. Again, I use a car, but it's got a range of about 12 miles, and I could go someplace in 12 miles there and back. And I've always wanted one. I've ridden a few times, and they've always been interesting to me. And if it's going to be that type of environment where I'm not getting anything for the experience anyhow, because you're not really getting any exercise on an e-bike at a certain point, I would just get a Segway. Call it a day.
Yeah, well, we've ridden Segways as well, and we also thought they were novel, and they were at least fun to ride once or twice. Owning one, I think the big part there was where we live. There's really no reason to have one.
Right.
But if we were in a downtowny kind of area, and maybe, I mean, if it was like one of those places where we decide, okay, we have a car, but we only use it when we really go on long trips because we use public transportation or something other than that, maybe.
Well,
then,
in a lot of these communities that I serviced when I was in the airlines, they had Lime scooters and these electric scooters that you could jump on, and you would just tap your phone to the side of it, and you could go rent a scooter. And those were awesome for us because it wasn't a cab fare. You didn't have to spend a lot of money. You had to be careful when you were riding it through the streets, especially through Lubbock, Texas, and a couple others that I can remember where it wasn't exactly ideal. However, it was still an entertaining opportunity to get out and ride and do something and get somewhere. Oklahoma City was probably one of the best places to go ride those things. So I could see the need, but again, I think I would just be in the Segway department. I think it would be kind of neat to just have as a tool. But e-bikes, it's good to see them for what they're worth. But then the only other thing that I think has to be mentioned about an e-bike is the carbon footprint for an e-bike changes from just having a human-powered bike. So does it become part of this fanciful future of the electrification of what people think is going to be out there and is better for society as a whole as a carbon emitter reduction effort? Because at that level, I think then I don't get that e-bike because I don't buy that one as being more carbon efficient than just me pedaling and breathing. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Or did I go?
No. That's something to mention. That electric bikes that are electric, pure electrically powered, there's a different footprint there, a different impact than a bike like this. It's a hybrid.
Sure.
Where people can say, and there's actually, if you look up going to shop for e-bikes, they talk about the different companies where, they depend on how much you pedal before the actual engine kicks in, or you can be fully electric all the time if you want. So there's a difference there, yeah.
Interesting. Well, folks, you know what? It's at that point where we just say the same thing. Hey, let us know what you think. Like, subscribe, follow. If there's anything else that you think we could say about e-bikes and how you think that market's going to evolve and what you think their pertinence will be in our not too distant electrified future, let us know because it'd be interesting for us to get your points of view, and let us know in the comments below, and we'll be more than happy, as always, to entertain all the comments that we get. So, seeing as we didn't discuss who's doing the next one, who is actually doing this next one?
Oh, it doesn't matter. You want to have a go at it, or it doesn't
Sure,
matter?
I'll do it. Wait.
Cool.
Twist my arm. Wait.
Doesn't matter.
Here we go.
Doesn't matter.
All right, so another company out on the front of new aerospace development, which is Aero, announces an electric regional aircraft. Now, this one's got a little bit more legs than just your standard air taxi market, and they're taking this aircraft out of Toulouse Bransal Airport, which, if I'm not mistaken, is also the home of Airbus. Okay, and
Belarus, yeah.
And apparently they got about 80 employees, and this one is looking to have certification by 2024, or excuse me, their first flight's 2024 and certified by 2026. But they're doing something different. It's going to be all electric, and this one is going to be a 19-seat aircraft. And by all means, by everything that I can see right now, it looks quite handsome. This is not an not an ugly aircraft. It looks like it's got all the features. It's not, from what I can tell, it doesn't have any opportunity to be a VTOL aircraft. Might be a short takeoff and landing aircraft. But it looks like they're going for certification up and above the level of 25,000 feet, which is where regional aircraft will operate on the regular. Looks like they're putting this thing basically squarely in a small market, puddle jumper, a low carbon emission aircraft. And it's real interesting because I, for one, think that this is a place where if it's a short enough hop, you might be able to see this thing enter a serviceable market and open up some markets that people currently see isolated because of just footprint. What's your take on this bad boy?
It is interesting. The company, as you said, has got 50, 80 employees, so it's not a huge company.
Not yet.
If you go to their website, they do talk about VTOLs, not this design, obviously, but VTOLs. So they appear to have their mindset in a few different places, but this seems a bit more. I'm not gonna say mainstream, but more like I could see it coming to market. Actually happening.
Right.
And of course, the fact that they've chosen a specific number of seats, 19 seat. I have to look up the regs, but they're obviously targeting a specific market there.
Sure.
Again, I don't see a reason this really couldn't work. I'm interested to see maybe what details we can glean later in the future when we see like ranges and speeds.
Right.
But again, as we said, they are themselves coining it a regional aircraft. So that's it seems to be a market that I think this could fit into. When we talk about aircraft that might need to go a bit further or higher, electric isn't maybe quite there yet for those type of flights, but a regional aircraft with 19 seats. I think that
sounds nice to me.
Awesome.
I just decided to bring up their website and just take a look. They do have this other, it looks like aerobatic tail dragger, which looks real interesting, which is one of the things that might be their first offering. And if it looks like it's these are actually quite cool. So it looks like they've got their feet in both ends of possibly popping into the GA aircraft market as well, and then going to service. And again, if anybody's familiar with the airlines, Corey brought up a really good point, which is the number of seats. The number of seats when you look at what's called airline transportation and holding out to the general public, which means anyone can come and get a flight on your aircraft. They have to be specifically scoped, or this because of the clauses of how many seats and how many people can be available at certain markets and for certain airlines. There has to be a certain number of seats on board the aircraft to fulfill these clauses between regional operators, mainline operators, and of course to satisfy those for the operations for both the airman certification and additionally for the unions. So that 19-seat part is probably a huge or much bigger deal than we're really making light of, because that would involve a lot more investigation to find out where this thing would be most profitable. There's a lot. There's such a big discussion behind that. I know it's like talking over people's heads, but I don't mean to. But it is. There's more happening there, and congratulations for these guys for making the attempt, because it sounds to me like they're also going to pilfer off of the Airbus people that are already in Toulouse. Hey,
could be.
If you can't make it on your own, right? Did you just? Are you serious?
But what? But why?
But
it's
I don't
plugged in like we've always been plugged in.
Corey has got. This is great. Why? So Corey's camera just went dark, and the reason why is we have a Sony ZV-1, which.
But why?
You know what? It's probably not in movie mode. I'm gonna say. So when Corey uses that camera 9 times out of 10. We don't have any issues, but today it was the first time in a long time that the battery decides to sabotage itself even when it's connected to a computer source.
Intelligent movie mode.
Intelligent movie. It's in that mode. So
it's in the mode. It's in the right mode.
It's in the right mode, which is fun. So I just get to lose Corey for this one. That's great. I love it. Hey, you guys try to do this. We put on multiple shows per week, and we do 2 of them from this studio, which we have a very specific power slot for that camera so that it doesn't burn the battery. And for whatever reason, this has got to be the most specific camera I've ever seen to get it to work full time. Are you back? Or are you We'll pop in here and we'll.
Stand by.
Nope, he's still gone.
I'm trying a different plug.
Uh-oh.
I don't think it's gonna work.
We might have to cut the show just a tad bit early, even though we got some great rocket stuff to talk to you about for ABL space systems.
Yeah, that is interesting.
It is interesting.
I don't know how long I'll be here.
It is.
It's gone. I don't know, man.
Damn. You know what? We've had a long streak without it poking up its head, but we're gonna have to get you another one of those USB outlets, the ones that we have here in the studio. So here's okay. Because I was going to do a video on this anyhow, and it's just kind of interesting. We'll just cut to see if there's Corey. So what you see there is that is the raw output from the USB port on the ZV-1. So the camera that I'm talking to you is the Lumix GH5, but that's running off of a dummy battery, and it's connected back into the MacBook Pro with a Elgato Camlink 4K. So the quality is a little different, right? As we have things set up. Now, 9 times out of 10, when we're sitting in the studio, that camera sits over here behind me on a tripod, and it focuses on Corey on the seat, which is fun. And we have it running through a very specific USB hub that provides additional power to run it both off the USB and to keep the battery topped up and to dump it back into OBS. And when it fails, well, this is what happens. We lose Corey. And
yeah, man, I'm sorry. I don't know. It's in the hub.
It's
the only thing in the hub. Okay. The hub has power.
It happens.
Yeah,
and the way that we bring Corey into the show during the live stream is via Skype. Now, Skype has a very specific feature that allows OBS, which is what we use as our transmission software here. It allows it to see his raw camera footage pixel for pixel without degradation directly into here, as in the best terms, right? I can tell you it's the best quality. I get audio separate from his video. It works fantastically 99.9% of the time, and it saves Corey a commute here to the studio for Not Your Average Show. However, the Sony ZV-1 has been, at the very least, unreliable in its ability to decipher how it consumes power. And I mean that we have literally bought a USB dongle which tests to see how much draw the actual ZV-1 is drawing out of a USB port, and it doesn't seem to be anything above average, but yet it is. So it dies on a standard USB port, and it's documented out there on Reddit to do the same thing. So
and it dies on this plug-in hub.
There it is.
So I know Mike's talking about it too, but this hub that it's plugged into is a powered hub. The hub has its own power, so it's
usually it doesn't happen. But hey, that's why we do. That's why this is not average, and that's why we tell you what's going on behind the scenes, because we are intimate with our equipment. However, sometimes it does not operate in a way which we can decipher. So tough one to call. Anyhow, with that said, I guess I'm gonna call it. Hey, you want to say goodbye, Corey?
Yeah, sure. Hey, yeah. Thanks for everybody for joining us. We talked about some cool NFT stuff, and then some Porsche e-bikes, a little bit of Mars, and then a little bit of rocket stuff too.
Yeah.
So some exciting things for sure, but I think that's probably it for now.
Yeah, that's it for now. Sorry, folks. Hey, we enjoyed today's show, and look, if you haven't noticed, we've been a little bit more tongue-in-cheek lately, because as we discover more of these stuff, more of this fascinating electronic stuff moving forward, we want to be a little bit critical, because we understand that everything takes small steps, but you also got to critical think through some of these processes about all this new technology they're throwing at us, and we are in that space. We just want to be a little bit like, hey, great, but I'd like to see more. Anyhow, with that said, we're going to cut this one out. Thank you so much, everybody, for showing up for the show today, and we will be back here Monday.
Yes.
But this time we'll be back in the studio, so even if Corey's cameras fails, he'll be here behind me.
I'll be here. I'll be here. I'll stand there and, whatever.
Good times were had by all. Hey, everybody, thanks, and we will catch you coming up. Take care.
Take it easy, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Peace. Have a good time.